You are tired in a way sleep doesn't fix, not because your life is unusually hard, but because your mind has been fighting battles reality never actually declared. Every night, the same trial reopens. Every awkward pause gets reread as rejection. Every uncertain tomorrow gets convicted before it's even arrived to defend itself. You call it being careful. You call it staying prepared. But what if the voice running that trial every night is the exact thing standing between you and rest? How many disasters have you already survived in your head that never once happened in real life? Two very different men figured this out roughly 2,000 years apart from each other in circumstance, but at the same conclusion. One had been enslaved. The other ran an empire. Neither one found peace by controlling the world around him. Both found it by taking control of the only territory that was ever actually theirs, their own mind. Here are 7 truths built from that same discovery. Not slogans. Working tools. Truth 1. You own the response. You never owned the outcome. Wilma Rudolph was told as a child she'd likely never walk without a leg brace after childhood polio left one leg badly weakened. Doctors gave her a prognosis. They didn't get a vote in what she decided to do with it. She spent years in painful, unglamorous physical therapy that nobody was watching, with zero guarantee any of it would work, because the one thing she could actually control was the effort, not the outcome the doctors had already predicted for her. She went on to win 3 Olympic gold medals in a single games, becoming one of the fastest women alive, in a body doctors had already written off years earlier. Most of us do the opposite of what she did. We pour our peace into things we were never handed the keys to, whether someone responds today, whether an effort gets recognized, whether a plan unfolds exactly the way we pictured it. The moment your calm depends on an outcome you don't control, you've quietly handed your peace to something that was never yours to begin with. Ask yourself right now, what am I currently trying to control that was never actually mine? Name it. Then put your energy back where it belongs, in the effort, not the verdict. Truth 2. Most of your suffering is a rehearsal for a play that never opens. There's a well-documented account of Terry Fox, running across Canada on an artificial leg after cancer, who said the hardest parts of each day weren't usually the physical pain itself. They were the mental previews his mind ran before the pain even arrived, imagining how unbearable the next hill would be before his foot ever hit it. He learned to notice the difference between the actual sensation in his leg and the story his mind was writing in advance about that sensation, and treat only the first one as real. Your mind does this constantly, and you rarely catch it happening. A message goes unanswered for an hour, and by hour 2, you've built an entire narrative about being ignored. One offhand comment gets replayed until it's been reinterpreted 5 different ways, all of them worse than what was actually said. The body can't always tell the difference between an imagined threat and a real one. It reacts to both the same way, racing heart, tight chest, sleepless night, over something that, in most cases, never actually happens. The next time your mind starts writing tomorrow's disaster tonight, ask one blunt question. What do I actually know right now? Not what am I afraid of? That question alone usually stops the story cold. Truth 3. Accepting what happened is not the same as approving of it. Harriet Tubman didn't waste years demanding an explanation for why slavery existed before she acted. She accepted, fully and without illusion, exactly what the world she was in actually was, and used every ounce of energy most people spend arguing with reality on planning 19 separate rescue trips instead. Accepting reality clearly is what made her effective inside it. It wasn't resignation. It was the precondition for action. A lot of people confuse acceptance with surrender. They think admitting what happened means agreeing it was fine. It doesn't. It just means the argument with the past finally ends, freeing up the energy that argument was quietly draining every day. Think of the hardest thing you're still fighting with in your head, not the event, the ongoing internal argument about whether it should have happened. Ask yourself honestly how much of that pain is the event itself, and how much is the fight you're still having with something that's already over. Truth 4. Your attention is the only property you actually hold outright. Temple Grandin, who has spoken openly about how differently her mind processes the world, has described her ability to focus with total absorption on one problem at a time as the actual engine behind everything she's built in her career, not despite the intensity of that focus, because of it. Scattered attention produces scattered results. Concentrated attention, aimed deliberately, is close to the only real force multiplier a mind has. Most days, your attention gets claimed before you've even decided where to send it. A notification, a stranger's opinion, a headline built specifically to grab you. None of that is neutral. It's engineered. Before reacting to anything today, ask one short question. Does this actually deserve my attention, or has it only demanded it? Those are two different things, and confusing them is where most exhaustion quietly comes from. Truth 5. Everything you're afraid of, including the fear itself, has an expiration date. Abraham Lincoln suffered from what people around him described, in the language of the time, as severe melancholy, periods so dark that friends reportedly removed knives from his room out of concern for his safety. He didn't experience those periods as temporary while he was inside them. Almost nobody does. And yet the country's memory of him isn't built around those nights. It's built around everything that came after them, because the storm, however endless it felt at the time, eventually did pass. Go back and look honestly at what wrecked your sleep a year ago. Most of it, if you're honest, has faded into something you can barely recall the details of now. The fear at the time insisted it was permanent. It wasn't. Whatever's keeping you up tonight, it's worth remembering plainly. This specific feeling, exactly as intense as it feels right now, is not going to last as long as it's currently insisting it will. Truth 6. Peace isn't a place you eventually arrive at. It's something you build on purpose today. Jackie Robinson broke into a league that made no effort to hide its hostility toward him, facing threats, abuse, and pressure most of us will never come close to experiencing. He didn't get calm because the hostility around him eventually stopped. For a long time, it didn't. He built an internal discipline that didn't depend on the crowd's mood, because waiting for the external world to become peaceful before he allowed himself to be peaceful would have meant waiting forever. Most people postpone peace, telling themselves it arrives once the promotion lands, once the relationship stabilizes, once the bank account hits some number. But the finish line keeps moving the moment you reach it. Peace built like that never actually arrives. It just relocates one step further away every time you get close. The alternative is smaller and less dramatic. Peace built today, out of ordinary choices, choosing patience over reaction once, choosing gratitude over comparison once, repeated daily until it becomes the baseline instead of the exception. Truth 7. The person you keep punishing yourself for being doesn't exist anymore. Consider how often your own internal monologue still runs on old convictions. I always mess this up. I'm the kind of person this happens to. I never follow through. Those sentences describe a version of you built from old evidence, not current evidence. Every day since you first believed them, you've changed in ways that sentence hasn't caught up to. The healthiest version of moving forward isn't rewriting yesterday. It's refusing to let someone who technically doesn't exist anymore keep casting a vote in who you're becoming today. Ask yourself plainly, who was I fighting with in my head this morning? And are they actually still around? Or am I still arguing with somebody I already outgrew? Here are the 7, together, one more time. You own the response. You never owned the outcome. Most of your suffering is a rehearsal for a play that never opens. Accepting what happened is not the same as approving of it. Your attention is the only property you actually hold outright. Everything you're afraid of has an expiration date. Peace isn't a place you arrive at. It's something you build today. The person you keep punishing yourself for being doesn't exist anymore. None of this works read once. It works the way anything durable works, repeated on the ordinary days, not just the hard ones, until it stops being something you remind yourself of and becomes simply how your mind runs by default.